Hi everyone, Chris again. This is video 4. Today I'd like to talk about something called the Targeted Individual Program. So, if you're not familiar with it, it is in my book, it's touched on. I'm neither confirming nor denying that I am or ever have been a targeted individual. I'm just talking about the program. So in my book, you'll see that if you type in targeted individual, you'll get 174 million hits on Google. I'm going to repeat that number, 174 million. If you type in the term gang stalking, you get 10 million hits. So before I even talk about it, it's critical to understand an article on JTRIG. The article was written by Glenn Greenwald, February 24th, 2014. And the article is called How Covert Agents Infiltrate the Internet to Manipulate, Deceive, and Destroy Reputations. Now, this is critical to how they are covering this up. So in that article, it talks about how members of basically intelligence agencies are going online and making up fake profiles to kind of discredit people, companies, etc., spread false information, and make it appear as though a general consensus has been arrived at that favors government opinion, or so that the government is perceived in a favorable way. So this was a government document that was released with the Snowden files, and if you go through the document, you can go through the details of it. It's a really interesting article, but it's crucial to how the TI program, Targeted Individual Program, is being essentially covered up. So basically you have two groups. You have groups of millions of people globally that are saying we are being harassed by the government. Psychological operations. You have another group here that are made up of intelligence agents and other people trying to discredit the group, that are saying that it's whatever, aliens or the devil or whatever, all kinds of nonsensical things. Okay, so they want to make, so this group wants to make this group seem crazy. So this group can go into psychiatric hospital, talk about all these nonsensical things, and psychiatrists say, okay, well, this TI program is fake. These people are clearly crazy. But these people, that's all it takes. That's all it takes, because people try to simplify it, and they say, okay, TIs are either crazy or not crazy. But it's not that simple, because it's not just TIs. You have a group trying to discredit targeted individuals. Within the Targeted Individual Program, branches off into two more branches. So you have the people that are saying, yes, we are being harassed by the government, and you have people that are being manipulated into believing other things by controlling their internet viewing habits, by controlling their environment, etc. So the ones that end up falling for this disinformation, sea of disinformation, they end up going down a rabbit hole, and they are lost forever, those people. And there's a lot of disinformation, talking about technology and fake patents and all this stuff that's online. It's not easy to decipher what's correct and what's not, so it's challenging. So anyways, it's important to view the JTRIG article. So it's actually psychological operations is what they're carrying out. In the past, it's not a new program. In the past, it was Zerzetsign. Zersetzung. There's a TED Talk by Hubert Isnabi on Zersetzung, which is basically like the psychological operations program today, but it's been further refined. Zersetzung started by Hitler and the Brown Shirts, refined by the East German Stasi. U.S. Special Operations Command is carrying out today in 149 countries. So yeah, so they're leading the charge on this basically genocide of journalists, whistleblowers, peace advocates, etc. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Psychological Operations Manual, which can be found on WikiLeaks. So they use a variety of tactics in that, which they describe in detail. You can look it up under the Counterinsurgency Manual. The tactics that they describe are isolation, sabotage, which is financial, economic, etc. And it's an absolutely brutal program. They talk about lowering morale at every opportunity, which they have certainly done. So what that has translated to for me in terms of isolation is having communications shut down, phones stolen by police, etc. Laptop shut down. In terms of lowering isolation, also like losing my family, breaking up any support networks. I'll never see my kid again. Destroying my marriage, etc. Then there's sabotage. So for me, what that's translated to is losing my home, my vehicles, basically everything I own except for a few articles of clothing that they continue to destroy. And when they lower morale, I spent the last 6 months living in hotels, constantly moving from one to the other. The longer they have to set up, the more difficult they make things. So typically day 1 or day 2 in a hotel is okay. Day 3, usually I lose hot water. No one else in the hotel does. They'll typically steal the light bulbs, so they leave me in darkness, with no means of communication. To speak with anybody, construction typically starts around day 4, day 5 in an adjacent room, so it's loud noises all day. You can't drown it out with music because you don't have access to the internet, you don't have a phone or anything to listen to music with, so your bank cards and everything are shut down. It's a nightmare. Banks here deny me service, so I can't even get into the bank to change money. So there have been days, I'll do 3 days at a time. I think it's the longest I've gone without having any food, because even though I have money to get changed to the local currency, you get denied services. You don't get to enter into a bank. People just come over and block you from entering. Not for any reason. It's just that you're blacklisted. So, the question is like, who's carrying this out? Who's behind it? There's a group in Halifax led by Aaron Miller. He's a former PSYOPs team leader, and he's a private government contractor. So he approached me at the Good Robot in Halifax, Nova Scotia. There's evidence of this in my book. Tried to recruit me into this program, where if I carried out Zersetzung on other people, helped this group, then I would get protection from that group. So anyway, so I refused for obvious reasons. I wouldn't want to do this. It's my worst enemy, so I refused, and suffered the consequences as a result. They recruit people by that means by terrorizing people and then offering them protection. They also offer them a cut of seized assets. Um, so for me, for example, the woman who moved in with me, who was the mother of, allegedly the mother of a 3 RCMP officer, Heather Chappelle, would have got a huge payday because they, by shutting down my bank cards and stuff here, everything I owned, U-Haul storage, approximately $30,000 worth of things, would have been stolen, essentially. So they would have taken that and likely given her a cut of the assets. And you can find that article on The Intercept. I believe it was by Trevor Aronson, but I think it was called "How the FBI Conceals Its Payments to Informants." Basically, by offering them disguising reimbursements and offering them a cut of assets, they're getting false testimony from criminals or from people that have been terrorized by this group. And people don't understand this. So, like, who pays for these services? Well, it's government and corporations. So, in my case, Dalhousie University is using this. They've used it on other students as well. A guy named Ahmad Subani, Stephen Tynes, etc. And people don't get that a medical school would be involved with something like that, but you know, I'd encourage you to watch. There's a good episode, I think it was The Fifth Estate, called Michael DeGroot and the Mob. In that video, it shows Michael DeGroot, who's a billionaire, and Michael DeGroot Medical School at McGill, paying $500,000 to Vito Rizzuto's associate. If you don't know who Vito Rizzuto is, he's head of the Sicilian Mafia and the Montreal Mafia at the time. $500,000 to do what? Well, not to put them in jail. He said jail was too good, but to make it so that they couldn't sell chestnuts on the street. I'm kind of quoting what was said on the video recording. So basically, like to destroy every aspect of the individual's life, like Serzetsi. Yeah. So this is, you know, a guy with tremendous resources. The guy's a billionaire. He's a philanthropist, well respected in the community, who has ties and can call up the head of the Sicilian Mafia and the Montreal Mafia, Vito Rizzuto, to go after the Carboni brothers because of a deal in the Dominican Republic that related to a casino. But anyways, point being is don't be disillusioned by the fact that that just because medical schools and universities have good reputations that there's not involved with organized crime, because it's ridiculous. Usually if you find tremendous amounts of money, you'll find links to organized crime and people who want to protect that money. Anyways, that's all I'm going to talk about for the TI program. You'll never hear anything about it in the mainstream media other than discrediting stories. And the government is trying desperately to take down billboards that are being posted saying it's a mental health concern. They want everyone to believe that it's a mass delusion, that it transcends nationalities, transcends cultures, transcends generations. So our perception of things is largely shaped by our culture, you know, our age, our gender, our language, etc. That people across all these different things are having the same perception. So the notion that this is a mass delusion is just ridiculous. But you know, if you don't hear it in the 5 o'clock news, then people just don't believe it. So anyways, that's all I'm going to say about the TI program. It's a brutal program. If you look into the details on it, it's an absolute, they make your life an absolute nightmare. Anyways, that's all for now.